Hi, my name is Father Mike Dekowitz, and I am the director of the Addiction Recovery Ministry. Every Monday, we take a few moments to look at issues regarding addiction recovery and reflect on them. For the past several weeks, we've been looking at the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. This week, we're going to look at Tradition 4. Tradition 4 reads, each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other AA groups as a whole. I don't know about you, but when I first entered the program, I never quite understood why we spend so much time talking about and looking at the traditions. But the longer you're in the program, you realize how valuable these traditions are, how they allow us to remain faithful to our mission, which is to reach out and help the alcoholic or addict in their desire to become sober. So I think that this tradition particularly reminds us that freedom always comes with responsibility. It says in the step, each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. The groups are free, but they're also responsible to the program. That we are all responsible as individuals too to safeguard the common good. We're all responsible for each other. We are interdependent as a society, as a culture, and especially as a community in recovery. Each group should be autonomous. Each group will develop its own personality, its own character. You go from meeting to meeting, there'll be a different flavor, a different personality, perhaps even a different charism. Each group will have its own customs. They'll have their own way of expressing their truths. This is healthy. It's healthy because, it reflects that particular group. The group needs to be free so that group can find its own soul, its own charism. And yet that freedom needs to be aware of the obligations about 12-step recovery programs. Each group needs to respect the wisdom and the experience and the knowledge of AA, of all 12-step recovery programs as a whole. Always reminding us, with freedom comes responsibility, not just in recovery, but also with life. Now, we can take that third tradition and we can apply that third tradition to individuals who are struggling in recovery. As Tradition 3 says, the only requirement for AA membership is the desire to stop drinking. That's really important, the desire to stop drinking. So that each individual will discover his or her own way of working and living the program. We work the program differently sometimes depending on our sponsors, sometimes depending on the group where we belong. When I entered the program, my sponsor was very old school. He made me spend the first year on the first half of the first step. Your sponsor may do something very different, and that's okay. We find our freedom within the program. And that freedom is where we kind of develop our own charism, and we have to include that for the responsibility of respecting the experience of the program, living both the steps and the traditions, and we get to know and respect the tradition of the programs by really working with our sponsors. Our sponsors have been in the program longer than us. They understand, they live the traditions. So they begin to understand that there is freedom and there's responsibility. And I think that is really important to understand the third step. We are free to discover our own journey as long as we respect or in conformity with the wisdom and traditions of the program. Each group is free to live their own character, to develop their own charism, but they are mandated to also adhere to the knowledge and traditions of all 12-step recovery work. So also, each individual is free to discover their own path to recovery, while at the same time accepting the wisdom of the program. That, I think, is where the crux of step 3. Each group should be autonomous, Each group should be free, except in matters affecting other AA groups and AA as a whole. Tradition 4 reminds us that as a program, there is freedom and responsibility, and that we as individuals in the program are free to discover our own way, but responsible to the welfare of AA and NA as a group. Thank you. God bless. Let's conclude by saying the Serenity Prayer, and then next week we'll look at Tradition 5. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Goodbye.